Hey, do you get the notification we are live?
I do. I do,
Oh, look at
TJ.
that. All right. Well, I guess it's news, not news either, but we are live. Welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing, everyone. How's it going today, John?
Doing good. Doing good. It's been work's been shit. But I'm glad that politics are not shit right now because I don't know if I could do both. I am very, very happy with the world of politics at the moment. How about you, TJ?
Man, it's been, when did Biden drop out? Like 2.5 weeks ago?
Yeah,
and
it's not that long ago.
Feels like a different universe, man. It's just, I saw a tweet the other day. I think it was the day that Harris picked Walz. So yesterday or Monday, I can't remember which day it was, but they the tweet said that, man, this is so weird. The Democrats keep doing the right thing. They keep making good political decisions. It's like we've just dropped out of that like 10-year period where we were in the bad timeline and things just seem to be getting better for a change. And a month ago, I never would have guessed that things would be going as well as they are now.
It really feels like we just slipped into an alternate reality. Because you're right, it very much felt like after the debate, we all saw it. We all saw the long, dark road ahead of us where it was inevitable. All of the Democrats' mistakes that have compounded over the past, I'll say 8, but probably longer than that years, and just doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Finally, I mean, it's come home to haunt them in the past, but it was the death knell. And we thought we were just going to sleepwalk into the grave. And then when he dropped out, I was like, okay, thank God. Thank God we at least avoided that scenario. I could not have, in my wildest dreams, imagine we'd be sitting here today with not just a not Biden-led Democratic Party, but a competent Democratic Party. Up and down the ticket. It's not just Kamala.
No.
It's Pelosi for whatever reason. I don't know what happened. I don't know if she was visited by 3 ghosts one night and the last one showed her what her stock portfolio would look like under a Trump presidency, but she's just kicking ass.
She is.
Like she was the devil, TJ, to us a couple weeks ago. And now she's like the best person in the country, like the most important figure in changing everything about this country in the matter of weeks. I don't know, TJ. It's really weird. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just keeps going well. Like first Pelosi, going to Biden saying, look, this isn't going to work. You need to drop out. I'm getting Obama in on this. I'm going to get other people in both houses and you can run if you want, but it's not going to be fun for you. And then, Biden, and also Pelosi was important. Like she pushed for Walz too, apparently, over Shapiro, which look, I would have bet money that Pelosi would have backed someone like Shapiro. It seems like something she would do, but
it was Pelosi, AOC, Bernie, and Manchin all fighting together for Walz.
I didn't hear about Manchin. That's really weird. Manchin, what is going on? I didn't hear about Manchin. That makes even less sense. That's pretty weird. Also, look, I know we've been shitting on the guy for 4 years now. Credit to Joe Biden for endorsing Harris, because I gotta say he did not have to do that. And in fact, the day Biden dropped out, John texted me, and I sent him a text. You remember what I said? I said that I'm a little worried because he didn't immediately endorse Harris because Biden could have been like, all right, fuck it, you guys don't want me, have at it, and then had the party tear itself apart. But it was within 15 minutes or something. He endorsed Harris. And so credit to Biden for one, making the right decision and dropping out, not dragging this out any further. 2, endorsing Harris as he should. And all credit to Kamala Harris. Because look, that would have been easy to fuck up. She could have gone out there and done like a horrible presentation to herself in the country. She could have looked like JD Vance. Man, I don't know if you've seen these videos of JD Vance just nervously laughing and trying to that's what actually people have shit on Harris for like her goofy laugh. It's working for her because she seems really pleasant and endearing and people like her. And that's hard to get people. She should know for a long time people didn't, including myself. But she's got it. She's figured it out over this time. And so everyone is batting 1,000, and it's just too, even the Tim Walz, he's the one we got the weird thing from. So everyone's
Tim
crushing
Walz,
it.
Man. TJ, Tim Walz. I knew of Tim Walz. Like, I'm not one of the people who just learned about him.
Mhm.
I knew about him. We actually did a segment on him. Not him, but when Minnesota, he signed it. You know, when they basically passed like a whole progressive smorgasbord of policy, including this free school lunches, which a lot of people have heard about, the paid family leave, which a lot of people have heard about at this point. But they passed it all with a 1-seat majority in the state Congress, and Tim Walz signed it into law. And at that point, Tim Walz was a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a boogeyman. Like, he wasn't a bad guy necessarily on the, the left wing of the party, but he certainly wasn't a good guy. He called in the National Guard on the George Floyd protests. Like, we didn't like him for that, but like he signed it, and we're like, you know what? Good on him.
Yeah,
we're happy with him. And then since then, it's just been momentum, and everything I hear about him, TJ, it's like, it feels unreal. Like, he took, and this is public knowledge at this point, but he took a 27 straight loss high school football team to the state championship in 3 years, TJ. In 3 years. Do you know how fucking hard, do you know how good of a goddamn leader you have to be in order to do that? A student started a gay straight alliance in 1999 in his school, and he decided to be the faculty advisor because he knew the football coach doing that would carry weight. Like, what else I've just seen story after story about this guy, and I'm like, damn, the only bad thing about this pick is I kind of want him to be president now. Like, holy shit.
So JD Vance, oh God, I'm so happy to pick JD Vance, man. I gotta say, JD Vance, I did not expect Vance to be the pick at all because it didn't make any sense to me. But I'm glad that they not only are the Democrats making all the right moves, the Republicans keep fucking up. Like, it's like a weird, bizarro world. And I saw a thing. So JD Vance was in the Marines, and Walz was in the Army. And I don't know if you saw this, John, but JD Vance was sent an attack against Walz, and he said that, when I was in the Marines and the military told me I needed to go to Iraq, I served my country and I went. But when Walz was in the Army and his unit was sent to deploy to Vietnam, he just retired and let his troops go. Did you see that? Let his troops go without him. And it's like, oh yeah, he retired so he didn't want to fight in fucking Vietnam. Oh, what a horrible person. I can't think of anyone who dodged the Vietnam War who might be running for office right now. It's a very weird attack to go off of. And I don't know, it's just like, if you think that's going to sway anyone, like he didn't want to serve commanding a unit in Vietnam, I don't think that's going to work too well, JD Vance. That seems like a weird line of attack.
It is a very weird line of attack. They got nothing, TJ. They got nothing on Kamala. They got nothing on Walz. They literally, did you see the audio came out today? Like, they've been attacking him for the George Floyd protest and burn. And then, like, audio came out today of Donald Trump in 2020 praising him for how he handled it. Like, it's just, they have nothing. It's incredible. They've done no Oppo research on anyone but Joe Biden. Like, they spent 0 minutes doing it in the past 4 years.
So they did do Oppo research, ironically enough, on Josh Shapiro, because I saw that you saw that whenever they picked Walz, it kind of shocked the Republicans because they already had flyers and stuff printed out, because there was this weird thing going on where some lady was killed, but Walz ruled it was a suicide. And the suspect was a friend of his. They were ready to run with that one. And I don't know. So of course they were outsmarted by Kamala Harris yet again. And so it's just it is pretty fun to watch. You mentioned was it Iraq that he was sent to?
Yeah, Jerome is saying it's Iraq. He's
kind of old for that, isn't he?
He's kind of in between. He was teaching in 99, so I feel like that's. We do have this amazing machine.
Oh yeah, sure. I thought it was Vietnam for some reason. Okay, all right. That's
Tim Walz.
He's 60 now, and if he retired, okay, that math kind of checks out, because if he retired at like 45.
Okay, he retired in 2005.
Okay, my bad. Yeah. All right, thank you, Jerome. Yeah, I thought that was Vietnam. He does look older than 60 though. I gotta say, he looks a lot older than that. So yeah.
Yeah, and also if it was 2005, he was born age. I completely messed that up.
64.
He's time in I Google, man. This is great podcasting, guys.
He spent 20. He spent 22 years in or something like that.
60. So it was 64. So 41. Yeah, he's like 41 years old. Like,
yeah,
he's not in like, prime fighting age. Here,
right.
Guys.
That is yours.
He dodged the draft here. Like,
yeah.
It's a normal
thank you
time
for that.
to retire. Correct me if I'm wrong here, TJ. It's a pretty normal time to retire.
Very normal.
Military,
yes,
right?
very normal. So, yeah, he was a command sergeant major in his unit. And he was there was another guy they're already training for the role. He's like, okay. And by the he dropped out to run for Congress to run on an anti-war platform. I was thinking Vietnam because you're right. Yeah, that math doesn't work. So thank you for that, Jerome. One thing I wanted to say about this, you said they don't have any line of attack on these folks. They do have one.
Oh, they have a couple lines of attack.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah,
they
not
have them,
good,
but they're double-edged swords that cut them more.
Yeah. And so they have one that they're going with is they're liberal. They're far left liberal extremists. And one thing that I've been noticing over the years, like for decades now, is I can't believe Republicans keep getting away with this. Because I saw a clip on this just before we hopped on. And it was J.D. Vance once again. And he said, well, one thing I know about Kamala Harris is that she's a San Francisco liberal with San Francisco liberal values. And Tim Walz may be from the Midwest, but at his heart, he is still just like her, a San Francisco liberal. How do they get away with this shit? How do they get away with doing this? Because Republicans do this every chance they get. You never see Democrats come with theirs like, this guy's a fucking Alabama conservative with his backward standards and Georgia value. Like, they never do that. But Republicans, the only time I've ever seen it backfire on them is when they tried it on Trump. And they said that Donald Trump is just a New York liberal. And Trump he was on one of the debates. And Trump said, well, the city of New York is great. After 9/11, we all banded together. I was like, oh, it was great. He boomeranged it on them completely. It's the only time I've seen them actually suffer. It was from another Republican, oddly enough. But it does annoy me that there's an entire political party that can just demonize like the great cities of the United States and say these people are obviously garbage and nobody bats an eye.
Well, see, here's the thing, TJ, and this is to circle back to how they're suddenly doing everything right. The reason that they've been able to do that, it's not because I've been hearing a lot of people say, finally we're going low when they go low. That's not really what's going on here. Yeah, we're like hitting them back, but the go low when they go low there would be to say what you just said. Well, he's an Alabama Republican. But I watched yesterday's rally that announced Walz. That was the first one I've watched, like front to back in a long time. I don't think I ever watched a Biden rally in my life. And I watched this one. And one of the things that stood out to me is that they're reclaiming patriotism.
Yeah.
And they literally started a USA chant at a Democratic presidential rally. And I was like, wow, this is what we've been saying for them to do for years now. We should be the party of patriotism. We should be the party of freedom. And this is the exact messaging they're running with. I swear to God, TJ, Kamala's been watching my TikTok for the past couple years and just because this is all the same shit. And I don't mean to like brag, but it's true. Like, this is what our wing of the party has been saying, and it's what they're doing, and it works. Because if you go low against low and go, oh, the Alabama fucking conservative, it feels like you're punching down, whereas it feels like Republicans are punching up. And even though that's unfair, that's just the way it is. But if you say, hey, no, we're screw you coastal elites, be like, no, we're the party of everyone. We got Tim Walz here. He's from the middle of the country. He grew up where he did all this. Like, that is a winning message against San Francisco elite. And it's inept. Like, they're trying to snack line. It's inept. He never went to San Francisco until last year. Like, it's a lie, and it's clearly false by just the eye test. It's not a lie. You pull out a chart and go, oh, technically, no, the economy's up. No, it's just clearly this guy is a fucking coastal elitist. This minute he opens his mouth, it's apparent to everyone in America. And for them to be using, or like, Kamala isn't black. I open my eyes and I'm like, nah, she looks black, guys. I think you're wrong about that. It doesn't require this long ass rebuttal. They just have no actual attacks against anyone but Joe Biden.
Yeah. Yeah, the eyeball test is so important. It's it's probably the most important things in politics that you have to look the part. And like when it comes to Harris, it's hard to really rally people around that she is this evil demon waiting to take over the country. There's no way you can see Kamala Harris she looks like, your auntie. That's who Kamala Harris looks like. And she acts like her too, like kind of corny and just folksy and everything. That's the vibe you're going to get from her. And with Walz, he couldn't be more of a normal looking politician dude. Like you can't. And just hearing him talk and just like the jokes and the aphorisms he throws around. And what you were saying is something that we have been saying this for a long time, that the problem with not necessarily even Democrats, but just people on the left in general, is a lot of times we do speak in these complex, esoteric terms, and you fail to sound like a normal person. The more you start talking about, intersectionality and quantitative easing, or anarcho-syndicalism, like you just start throwing this shit around, you lose people real fucking quick. And someone like Walz getting up there and doing what we've been saying that you need to do, talk like a regular person, embrace patriotism, because look, I know this kind of describes our entire movement, but there's only so far you can get on a platform or an ideology built on eternal cynicism. That's not going to get you anywhere. Like, you need to sell an optimistic message other than this sucks. We're not going to get everything we want. Let's just whine about it. Which, look, all that's true. We're never going to get everything. We're not going to live to see that. We know it. But if you want people to support you and actually build toward these goals, you do got to do a few USA chants. You can't be afraid of the American flag. I hate to say it, but you got to embrace church too. Like, you got to embrace stuff that normal people like if you want them to support you. And I think they're doing a great job with that.
Yeah, and I do have some bad news here, though, TJ.
Oh, no.
I hate to rain on the parade.
Oh.
Matt Powell official fucked our moms.
Jesus
or one
Christ.
of, I don't know. He didn't really specify which. It could have been either.
Yeah.
But that is an interesting statement from Mr. God over there.
Mr. God. Well,
I'm glad he's watching in the middle of the show instead of an hour early.
That's true. Usually he's so desperate for our attention that he hangs out before the show starts and we see his comment before we even get going. But I wish I had a clever rebuttal to that Matt Powell official. But you see, I'm not as smart as I used to be. My IQ used to be higher, but your mom swallowed about 15 points of it last night. So I no longer have it. I'm sorry, Matt Powell. Next time I'll come back with something better.
To address some of our other comments here, because this is our
that's right, it's our comment day.
Our comment day, where we address the comments. Daniel says, balls to the walls, I'm coconut pilled. Daniel, I could not agree more. It's actually embarrassing a little bit to me how pro Kamala I am charged up. I was and TJ hates when I do this, but I was 12 for Obama 2008. So I don't remember what that was like, but this feels like that has been described to me as like this is, I've never seen in my adult life the Democratic Party be so energized and excited and optimistic about the future. We usually hate everything and everyone and each other most of all, but as like freaking Joe Manchin and AOC agreed on something, and it happened, and I can't believe it, TJ. It's pinched me. I'm waiting for it came out that Kamala murdered a group of puppies back in 1973 or whatever. It's got to happen, but right now this is the highest high I didn't think I've ever been on.
Man, I hate to go old man on you here. This isn't even 25% of what it was about. And wow. I mean, it is. Wow. I mean, look, it doesn't. It's the sun and the moon. I'm telling you, it was such a cultural phenomenon. And this is 2007 when it started. And this is before the days of
still being close. I remember being 12 and being like, this isn't like a bloodbath. This is like on election night. We were waiting with bated breath. It was in doubt. And I don't think this is going to be in doubt by
2008. It was a bloodbath.
Again, I was 12. I didn't understand everything.
Look, it was
that's what I remember.
It was such a sure thing that Obama was going to win that he did like a speech before election night, like this massive speech. I think it was in Chicago. That it was like aired on live. It was a weird thing because it wasn't a debate. It was just a regular one of his massive rallies. And then I'd never seen that before. They did it the night before the election, and it was just the coronation that night. The election was a four. I don't remember what the electoral count was, but it wasn't close at all. Romney's was a lot closer than McCain's, if I remember correctly. But yeah. The Google machine say on that. But the Obama phenomenon was just so huge, like because media was a lot more limited back then. That you had the major networks and a few cable channels, but there was nothing like this going on back then. So, and every one of them were just consumed with Obama. It wasn't just like the Democrats had a sigh of relief. People across the nation were ecstatic about this guy. It was something I'd never seen before.
Yeah, he won Florida. Jesus.
Carolina too. He won North Carolina, I'm pretty sure.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
But what was honestly, the electoral
count? 365 electoral votes.
Yeah, it was a massacre. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Honestly, I think the same could happen here. I think that it could be a similar. I mean, he only won. He had 52.9% of the popular vote. I think Kamala can beat that.
Well, that won't really matter. Well, I mean,
because here's the thing: it's not just Kamala. Mm-hmm. It's also she's running against Trump.
Yeah, the Trump.
If Kamala's running against McCain, I wouldn't be saying this.
No.
She has the easiest opponent in the world.
Right. It's everyone but Joe Biden. Yeah. So this is interesting with I'll go there. So with Trump and where he's going to go, this is something we talk about all the time. And we've been talking about it for like a year now, how Trump, and it certainly was solidified after the assassination attempt and after the pick of his vice president and after the RNC, that Trump has maxed his support. It's not getting any higher. The only thing was, will the people left over show up to vote for the Democrats or not? And with Biden, that was way up in the air. And then it really started tanking after the debate. And now those people do see a reason to oh my God, I can't believe we have to choose between these two people again. Those folks will vote for Harris and everything. So seeing which states she can grab, Georgia is Biden won Georgia. So there's no reason Harris can't win Georgia. There's no reason at all she can't win Georgia. And other states, I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to see what happens here. I don't see her, winning super solid red states, but you can peel off a few good purple ones that you didn't expect. Maybe the Carolinas will be in play. I mean, who knows?
North Carolina has a strong play to it.
This year. It's going to be interesting to see.
I am interested to see how it all turns out. As and I will admit, I was on this show last week and I was wrong. Last week I said it's going to be Shapiro.
Oh,
and I was pleasantly surprised to be wrong. And it was looking, in my defense, like it was going to be Shapiro. And it really seems like Walz took the lead in the final hour, over the weekend.
Hey, real quick, John, speaking of which, how fucking mad are the Republicans that Shapiro wasn't picked? Have you heard them? It's similar. So they're all pretending to be offended on Joe Biden's behalf that he was neglected for Harris. They're doing the same thing with Shapiro, except they're trying to paint the Democrats as being anti-Semitic. It's well, Josh Shapiro is Jewish, and that's why. And they've been hammering this for days now. I see this folks, who do you think this is working for? Who is going to be convinced by this that you're going to swing them over? That I think it's something like 70% of American Jews support the Democratic Party.
I just looked that up, and
Okay,
it's a really losing argument that they're trying to make.
Good luck.
That's your best argument. You're so fucked.
It's the same thing they do with black people, and they're oh, you guys are on the Democrat plantation. The Democrats started the KKK. I said, folks, you've been doing this for 60 years, and it's not working. You can just let go now. You gave it a try. All credit for putting in the effort, but this is a losing argument. I don't know why you keep doing it. You just look ridiculous.
And again, to repeat the point I made earlier, if you have to play defense on that attack, and this is like fucking alt-right playbook. You just play offense all the time, make your opponent defend. They look weak, you look strong. But when your offense is inept out of the gate, it makes you look weak. When you try and call them anti-Semitic wow, Chuck Schumer is the most Jewish person in Congress. He's the leader of the Senate. Kamala is married to a Jewish man. They're all of the Jews almost all of the Jews in Congress are. I think like all but 3 of them. I can
there's like 9 Jewish senators, all Democrats.
Yeah.
And there's 26 Jewish congressmen, 24 Democrats. So yeah.
Okay. All but 2 of them. I was very close.
Very close, yeah.
All but 2 of them. It's just like on face value, it's clearly untrue. And the only like thing about that is a lot of Republican support comes from places where Jewish people don't really exist. Which is a weird thing for me. Like, I've always lived in areas with high Jewish populations, and it blows my mind. Like, there aren't Jewish people in like the middle of the country. Like, I mean, obviously there are, but like in any large quantities. And it's confusing to me because I just have always grown up around large Jewish populations. But like, it's so clear and obviously untrue. They can't even get that attack off the runway. No. Before people know it's not true. No one has to say, no, that's not true. Kamala doesn't have to say that. It just is.
Yeah.
Everyone sees it, and then she can attack without even acknowledging their attack. And it's wonderful.
It is. And it's funny when you mention that most Republicans live in areas where they never see a Jewish person, they never meet a Jewish person, they don't know anything about it. Same thing with Black people. They live in areas that are just entirely, homogeneously white conservative Christians. That's why you see those maps of the big red areas where there's 44 people living in an entire county. They're all related and they're all white people. And so that's why they feel so comfortable saying stuff like, oh, well, the Black people and the Jewish people, they're just trapped by the Democrats. And it's like, okay, you don't talk to any of these folks. You have no idea what they're going through or why they think the way they do. So it makes it easy to dismiss. But yeah, like those attacks. Oh, and like the weird fucking thing you talked about it earlier with, okay, we got Kamala Harris here. Let's tell people we don't think she's Black. That's really going to work. That's going to get people turning against her. It's like, what? They have completely fallen apart here. It's a shocking amount of incompetence, even for a party led by Donald Trump. I expected more from the GOP than what I'm seeing now. It's kind of sad, actually.
So yesterday I was hanging out with a group, probably like a dozen liberal normies, right? Like they're just normal people. They see a normal amount of political news. They're not us, and I risked a joke. And because they're talking about Kamala Harris, they're talking about Trump. I forget exactly what the setup was, but then I was like, "Oh yeah, but she's not Black, didn't you hear?" Landed with everyone. Everyone laughed.
Oh,
and I was like, my heart was beating a little bit. I was like, oh wait, they might not have gotten the reference and think that I'm just some fucking racist.
Oh, that would be. Oh yeah.
But they immediately got it, and it's like, wow, this is. And obviously, liberal bias in that group. But like, if the normies are hearing that, one-off comment that Donald Trump made at this random, the
National Association of Black Journalists.
That's not something that usually makes mainstream news. But the normies are hearing about it. They're laughing at the joke. It's so obviously silly. It's over for him, teacher. Like, I can't envision, besides the unknown unknowns, there's no known unknowns that like we think can lose Kamala at this point. Like, it has to be something coming from out of nowhere. And as we kind of said with Biden when he was still in the race, how we said, yeah, something big could change the momentum of this election, but more likely than not, it's going to be Biden having another senior moment. Now it's more likely than not, it's going to be Trump doing something really stupid. It's going to be hard for Kamala to out-fumble Trump. And that's really bad for Trump's outlook here.
Even if he doesn't have like a bad moment, everything is just, his trajectory is falling like lightning fast. And this is the thing here is that the DNC hasn't even happened yet. It hasn't even happened yet. Like, the world hasn't even been formally introduced to presidential candidate Kamala Harris and vice presidential candidate Tim Walz. And most of the time, after your convention, you get a significant bump in the polls when people see you and your message and what you're going for here. And I have a hard time believing that John, are you frozen? Or are you? I think you're frozen. But can you hear me? Houston, we've lost John. Well, I'll keep talking the rest of you fine folks until we get John back. But I'm going to have a hard time imagining that Harris is going to say anything anywhere near catastrophic enough to tank her campaign and bring her down to Donald Trump's level. And the debate's going to be interesting, too, because I don't know if you guys saw, but Harris was expecting Donald Trump to go along with the same debate that she signed up for, or that he signed up for with Joe Biden. And Trump said, no, I'm not going to do that debate. It's not going to happen. He tried to set up a Fox News one. And I thought that maybe Trump's going to try to back out of the debate. But then I thought, hold on, Trump is losing now. I think officially he's behind in the 538 aggregate of polls as of yesterday or something like that. So, there's Johnny's back. All right. So then I saw him on Fox News today saying that he still wants to debate Harris when it looked like he didn't want to. He was trying to back out of it, set one up on Fox. And that's how I know, okay, Trump knows he's losing now. Trump knows that he's behind because that's why he wants to debate. And if he debates Harris, there's no way Harris comes off looking bad in this debate, especially after seeing what she's seen over the last few months or whatever.
Yeah, so I actually, someone asked me this question, that one of my favorite fans asked me this question via DM on TikTok. And he was like, what do you think the debates are going to happen? And what do you think the result will be? And I think the debates are going to happen because Trump's behind and is going to continue to be behind. And conventional wisdom is the candidate that's behind wants more high variance events like debates in order to increase their chances. And then the candidate who was in front, like Kamala, actually could be like, nah, we're not going to debate. Sorry, bro. But she's not going to do that because she has an opportunity to deliver a fatality that would carry Congress for her. Like she could bury Donald Trump in the ground during a debate very easily. The chances of her losing the debate are like this. The chances of her winning normally are like this. And, the chances of her absolutely dismantling him and ending him as a candidate are about as high as the chances of her losing. So why not take that risk?
This goes back to what we were saying about Biden and everything, that it frustrated me so much that you've heard this 1,000 times, John, but we had so many people saying, how could you possibly defeat Trump in a debate when all he does is spout lies and nonsense? And folks, like wherever you are, anyone in the room you're currently sitting in could defeat Trump in a debate. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. Like he says something wild. He says 10 wild things, pick one of them, make fun of him for it, move on. Like, that's all you have to do. It's so easy. Biden couldn't put 3 sentences together. That's why it's so Kamala Harris, with, a quarter of her brain power, could just act like a normal person and make Trump look like a ranting lunatic. And she's going to destroy. She's going to crush it. And I saw a comment here. Mark says, it's what she has already said and done. You in the bubble don't see it, but tracking left won't play. We didn't say she should track left. I don't think she should, honestly.
I'm interested because Mark has been on this. He was saying this last week. I'm interested to hear, Mark, what you think she has done that is tracking left, because she hasn't. And people are like painting Walz as this, far left guy. He's not. He's moderate. Like, he just has implemented some progressive items like free school lunches for children, which isn't really far left. It's just what Democrats should have been doing this whole time. It's high approval rating stuff that he's gone through with. There's nothing that either of them have put forward into policy that is like far left policy.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what they'll say with Walz. They'll say, can you believe he signed a bill that gave free school lunches to kids? And the Republicans will say, well, it's not really free. They pay tax. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, that's the point. Like, can you think of a better use of American tax dollars than feeding children? We tell children they need to go to school because that's education's important. Feeding them is not important, though. It's nonsense. It's insanity that this is a topic of conversation at all. The other thing they'll say about Walz is, well, he signed a bill that allowed tampons in both boys and girls restrooms in case one of them are trans. No one cares about that. Stop being so weirded out by trans people. It's creepy and weird. That's what Republicans tried doing in 2022, got their asses kicked because their flagship issue for the 2022 election was trans stuff. And they barely won Congress in a year when they should have crushed it. Like historically, they should have ran away with it, and they trickled themselves out. And another thing they'll say is, well, he turned the Minnesota flag into a Somali flag. I don't know if you've seen this, John. They've been saying this.
Some people commented that to me, and I was like, there must be a reasonable reason he did.
Yeah, the Minnesota flag, they changed it to like a flag with a blue background and a white star, like a regular 5-pointed star, if you see anything else. If you look at the Somali flag, it's got like 2 different shades of blue and like a 10-pointed star on the left. It looks, the only similarities is that they're both white and blue and have a star. They look nothing alike whatsoever, but they'll pander to it and say, well, he's trying to turn Minnesota into Somalia. It's not going to work. I guess not going to work. There's a reason that JD Vance is, like -6 in popularity, and Walz on his second or third day is like +15 in his popularity. There's just no universe where you're going to convince the American people that these folks are, Stalinists. You need a better plan of attack. It's not going to work.
And TJ, if their plan is to attack us for being far left radicals, for giving free school lunch to kids, changing a flag and putting tampons.
That's it. That's all they've said about it.
We're gonna win that in a fucking landslide.
Those
are not winning fucking arguments. Those are not winning lines of attack. And Mark is saying, what's all this weird shit? That's not the point. Like it is the point. Like what? Mark, please tell me, what are the far left policies that are going to get them in trouble? What are they? I haven't seen them. I haven't seen Republicans come at them. I've seen them come after free school lunch, which they're going to get their asses kicked. 60% of Americans support free school lunch, and God damn it, it's probably more than that. For being honest, it's free school lunch, guys. Like, you're not gonna look good saying take food away from children.
Listen, I did a whole video a while ago about this very issue, and Ilhan Omar was supporting it. She said it was a good idea. And all these all these right wingers are saying how Ben Shapiro has a whole video talking about this, how, well, this doesn't actually solve the hunger program of the hunger problem for the kids. And, this is actually bad for them. It's giving money to corporations that provide the food. It's like, bro, what's your solution then? Nothing.
Are you not a capitalist?
I know, right? And the thing is that this is popular with like regular Republicans, because you ask them, hey, would you want the school to feed your kids? Most Republicans, like regular people, are going to be like, yeah, that would be pretty great. It's Republican politicians that are going to stand against it. The first, last, and only people in line against this will be Republicans, and they'll just make themselves look worse on the national scale, because they've already started calling him Tampon Tim. I don't know if you've seen these, but that's why I brought up.
It's like, you're not clearing the weird allegations, guys.
That's it. And they bring up the war thing. That there's just nothing really to go on, and so I agree. It's I don't know what Mark's point is either, because that's exactly what they're saying. If he have something to point out on how he's far left, how he's going to drag the ticket down, I'd love to know. Vanessa says here, Obama in 2008 was a landslide. He won Iowa. My senior year English teacher was a Republican, and she and her husband voted for Obama. Yeah, that was a lot of that going on. That was a lot of that happening. And Vanessa kind of flexing too. She was a senior in 2008. Thanks, Alana. That was making herself a lot younger than me. Thanks.
So Mark said, so what about letting Minneapolis burn, the riots, lack of law and order? So I'm going to say several things about this, Mark. One, I don't know if you saw today, but there is audio of Donald Trump literally praising Tim Walz for his response to the 2020 George Floyd protests. We were mad at him over in our bubble for how he responded. He sent in the National Guard. It wasn't good. Two, nobody gives a shit.
No one gives a fuck, man.
About what happened in no one cares. Again, if that is your craziest thing, that he sent in the National Guard to break up the George Floyd protests, you're good. Like, it's not a winning line of attack. That's not going to beat out. They're trying to take away women's health care. They're trying to end Obamacare. They want to get rid of Medicare. These are the attack lines that get launched back. And if your best thing is, well, you were governor during protests in 2020 that no one gives a shit about anymore, you're gonna lose. Like, it's just a losing argument. And like, sure, you can say like that's upset, whatever. Like the people who are upset about that weren't gonna fucking vote. Like there's no undecided voter right now who's gonna be like, oh well, they picked the governor of St. Louis or whatever
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yeah, like that's only gonna be cared about by Republicans. Like no one else is gonna care about that.
You know what that reminds me of? So this doesn't happen nearly as much because Republicans learned their lesson. But back to 2022, you remember how many people were whining about lockdowns in 2022, saying, well, they did lockdowns 2 years ago. No one's voting on that. No one's voting on lockdowns. No one's voting on the riot protests. No one's voting on vaccines. People. It's like Don Draper said. My life moves in one direction, forward. That's what I'm worried about here. I'm worried about what is going to happen. John, are you frozen again? There you go. You froze on me again, but I was worried. But yeah, it's just, the lines of attack are not going to work anyway. And Mark, this is getting sad. All right. Mark, don't comment anything else unless you have something that matches a portion. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
like, give me something that
he said increased tax rates.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm gonna look up real quick just for argument here. First of all, they haven't come up with that. I haven't seen a single Republican actually attack him for that. And two, like the tax rate.
Oh, we lost John again.
Rate into is going to be like it's very popular taxing people above $400,000 in income. So I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Yeah, right? Yeah, because no one's voting on marginal tax rates. It's not going to happen. Plus, look, the United States has had like criminally low tax rates for a long time. This is what's been really funny. People have been bitching about tax rates my entire life, but back in the 60s, the top marginal tax rate was in the 70%. And back in the 40s and 50s, your top marginal tax rate was like 90%. And guess what? Those were the most prosperous economic eras of the United States. And what people like to point out is like, well, sure, the top marginal tax rate was 90% for the highest earners, but there were lots of tax breaks. So the effective tax rate was more like, 50%. Okay, fine. Do it then. Like that. That's fine too. Like that doesn't destroy our arguments. Like higher tax rates brought us things like Social Security, brought us the GI Bill, brought us, lots of protection. Like everything. The one thing that you could definitely point to back in the golden age of the United States was our economic policy was a lot better, where the tax rates were 3 times higher. So ever since we've dropped them under Reagan, things have been shitty. That's that. So when people say let's make America great again, take it back to the 50s, yeah, let's do it. Let's take it back to the top marginal tax rates of the 50s. The 50s weren't great because women couldn't buy land or a house until the mid 70s, and certain people knew their place and had to jump through hoops to vote. That's what Republicans want to take us back to. No, just do the tax thing, you fucking morons.
TJ, I looked this up because I did not expect us to be covering Minnesota state tax policy today. But I was like, I have a feeling that this policy is going to sound pretty darn popular. So this is what Tim Walz did to increase taxes in Minnesota, right? So under Walz, Minnesota became the only state to impose a surtax on long-term capital gain income and other net investment income of high earners. All other state tax long-term capital gains at ordinary income tax rates or even preferential rates. That is a very popular populist policy. Walz also signed legislation partially phasing out the benefit of standard and itemized deductions for high earners. Also, very popular populist tax policy. These are tax policies that increase taxes on the rich, which is something that is popular because I hate to break it to you, most people aren't rich. He also signed legislation expanding the scope of corporate income tax to capture more international business incoming through global interchangeable low tax income, blah, 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 blah. If Donald Trump can actually get all of those fucking words out,
yeah,
maybe, but also no, because everyone's going to glaze the fuck over. Nobody cares. Because this is the problem we've been talking about for Democrats for so long. No, if you start taking out the graphs and talking about marginal tax rates, no one's going to give a shit. It's just not, it's not going to work. And the thing is, Minnesota's economy has been good. People have liked it there. If they really want to come after all of these things, he just has to say, yeah, it's been good. Wages are up. Like that. That's it. And then you attack again. And that's what this campaign is going to do. I've never been so confident in a campaign because they've just been doing everything right. She called him coach, TJ. She called him coach. It's Coach Walz. Do you know how fucking brilliant that is? It's something that I would do, but I wouldn't have ever even considered that they would try. But it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And you could tell they were testing it out. It worked. He's Coach Walz now. It's incredible. Mark, you're just making me more confident. Just come back. Please come on our show in mid-November when we're celebrating, because it's going to be a bloodbath.
And also, not only is the messaging a lot tighter and a lot more concise and logical for the Democrats, we brought this up earlier, the people they're running are just more likable. That's what Vanessa says here. I still think Trump's ceiling is capped while Harris has a higher ceiling, and vice presidents don't have a huge positive impact on elections, but they can hurt. See Palin 08. So we've had both these conversations, not me and you, Vanessa, but me and John. We've had both these conversations that Trump's ceiling is capped. Trump hit his ceiling, I think, in 2020. I think that he's not going to get any significantly higher amount of votes than that, or percentage of the population than that. And that the only thing that people have to worry about are those who remain, and will they support Democrats or not. And we also had to talk about the vice president pick, and that your vice president pick can only really help in one area, and that's generally the vice president's home state. The vice president can win over their home state. That's a big deal, because that's why that's honestly the reason people were looking at Shapiro so much, since Pennsylvania is such an important state, and if you're a popular politician from Pennsylvania, helping get that could help you secure the election. But while the vice president's positive impact is minimal, they can have a huge negative impact. It's a lot more rare, but Palin is a great example of that, because if you pick a bad vice president, that shows that your judgment isn't that great. It's like, okay, John McCain, we thought highly of you, but you thought she could be president of the United States? You think that's a good idea? And honestly, it was a desperation move for McCain, because once again, he was getting his ass kicked. So he had to pull a Hail Mary, and it didn't pay off. But Vance is reaching Palin territory. I haven't seen anything this bad in a long time. I don't know if you can think of it. I can't think of any vice president that's had this much of a negative impact this quickly since Palin. I haven't seen anything like it at all.
Palin's the only example I could even think. Like, usually, as Vanessa said, it doesn't matter. Like, the only consistent electoral outcome of a vice presidential pick is a 0.5% bump in their home state. Other than that, there's no consistent electoral impact. It basically doesn't matter unless they're just a gaffe machine. And I do have to say, TJ, Sarah Palin, she was kind of like, she was right too early. She would have dominated this current Republican landscape. She if you look at like Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's just Sarah Palin, but Sarah Palin actually knew how to politics. Like it's actually incredible.
She's angry Sarah Palin is a Marjorie Taylor Greene.
If you could just think of like Sarah Palin in 2020, if she was still relevant, like, she'd be eating shit up right now. She'd probably be the VP again. But that's God, JD Vance. If he actually debates Tim Walz, like, may God have mercy on his soul. He's so clearly not made for the spotlight. I was actually, again, as much as I underestimated what Democrats would do, I also overestimated JD Vance. And that's not to say I had high expectations. It's just he's been so not ready. It's so obvious.
Yeah, that's actually something that I've been thinking about all day, because I've been planning. I was out of town last week. End of last week or this week, and I haven't been making a lot of social media stuff. I just haven't been. You don't feel it sometimes, so I ran across some JD Vance videos, and I don't know where to start, because, like you said, I didn't I didn't expect JD Vance to, step out and hit a home run or anything, but I at least expected him to be a normal, competent United States senator. Yeah. He hasn't even hit that benchmark. He is just, it's like he's never stood in front of a camera and a microphone a day in his life. And just the stuff that he says and tripping over everything. And it doesn't help that he said a bunch of crazy, insane shit to get where he is. And so now he has to defend the most obnoxious stuff that you can possibly think of. I hate to say I'm disappointed, but I am kind of disappointed in JD Vance. Like I expected him to do a little bit more than that. And you know what? He's like my age. So it's not like he's like this old guy that doesn't know how to do like social media and stuff and just doesn't he can't communicate to a crowd. He seems like an old goofy man just laughing himself nervous and shit. It's pretty weird to watch.
It is actually, it feels shockingly similar to DeSantis.
Yes.
Where we were kind of scared of DeSantis because
not me, not TJ. I made it clear a long time ago that DeSantis is going nowhere. I was the only person saying it, so that's why I wasn't surprised at all. But go ahead.
Okay, correction. I was scared of DeSantis because I'd never listened to DeSantis. I never watched DeSantis. I just heard stories about DeSantis and what he's doing as governor. And I was like, holy shit, he's been able to drastically drag Florida into the hellish levels of alt-rightness. And as soon as he got in front of the camera, as soon as the spotlight was on him, he shriveled. He was like a child. And I could not believe that someone who was able to accomplish so much destruction and become so popular within his own state had the fucking charisma of a can of beans. Like it's incredible how these people who were kind of made to be boogeymen, like from our side of the aisle, it's like, you hear scary stories about JD Vance. He's totally a Trump acolyte. Like it's scary how quickly he's risen to power and accomplished all these things. You think that someone who's risen so quickly must have done so through competence. But that's not the case, TJ. That's not the case at all.
You know what? So there's a couple things real quick. I think we mentioned it the show before last. JD Vance has only been in politics 2 years.
Yeah.
That which has got to be insulting to the people who were trying to run for vice president and who'd been doing this 10, 15, 20 years. Some guy who just got here. So, well, that's what you get.
Imagine getting married to be vice president.
I know.
They pick JD.
Yeah, right. It's like, this is what you get when you got a guy who's brand new at the job and try to put him in the spotlight. Actually, we should have seen it coming. But you know what? I've heard people refer to JD Vance as Midwest DeSantis, and which is really great because that's exactly what he is. Except that I was thinking even more. There's even other similarities. They both were definitely using Ozempic because you look at pictures of JD Vance from last year. The guy's a balloon, and now he's svelte and his suit. I gotta say, his suits look nice. I will say, whoever tailors his suits, they do a good job. That's like the only compliment I think of with JD Vance. But also, they were both what I write down. They both went to Yale. And they're both military vets. So there's some little overlap there with these guys that they got in common. But with the vice president race, this is a shout out to the head in the office guys. I wish to God I would have thought of this, but I saw one of their videos today and they were talking about, Trump is obviously kicking himself for picking JD Vance because it's, tanking his campaign. But especially since he's going with this attack that Kamala Harris is Indian and not black, he really wishes he could have picked Vivek Ramaswamy now, because Vivek would have been up there saying, listen, I know an Indian when I see one, and Kamala Harris is Indian. So I was like, man, I can't remember if it was, which one of them said it, but that was really funny from the head in the office guys that Vivek would have been fantastic for Trump right now. Honestly, anyone would have been better than Vance, but I love watching them tank and just watching Trump flounder. Like Trump is on his back foot. Which is something we haven't seen in a long time. I've
never seen him on his back foot like that. I have not seen since 2016. I have not seen him so defensive. Yeah,
he doesn't know what to do. His attacks are flailing. He's kind of I've seen this where he tries out new material. He's trying to see what sticks, but nothing is sticking because nothing makes any sense and nothing is working. And I don't know. You love to see it, folks. I'm here for it.
It is, again, it just feels like we slipped into another timeline where things are right. The Democrats are being competent. And you actually see it. Like, you see the desperation coming from the Trump camp. Like, did you see that Truth Social post that he had?
Oh my God, that was wild.
Where he was like, he's writing fanfic about how Biden's gonna, come to the Democrat National Convention and like say you should pick me instead, like, because he wants, like, that's his only chance. Like, he recognizes it, that he's dead in the water and he's got nothing. He's got no ammo. He's got nothing left in the tank. Are you pulling up the Trump social
I'm
post?
trying to find it, but I it's, let me see. Okay, I think I found it.
Okay, pull it up.
It's it's making me, I'm not logged into Twitter. Let me see. But what it is, what did someone say reminded him of? But Trump just wants to run against Biden so bad. He feels ripped off that he didn't actually get to run against the guy he wanted to. And so he's like writing fan fiction that, he wishes he was going to be for him. Okay, here it is. See if I can read this bad boy. Is it shared?
It is.
All right. So Trump says, crooked Joe Biden is the worst of. Oh, wait. That's not it. That's not the one. That's not. Fuck. That's well, not sorry, guys. I lied to you. Well, the one that he said, it was something like he kept. God, you'd have to see it.
I should have stayed there. I should have bookmarked it. But
it was so great.
It really is. He doesn't want to be president. He wants to beat Joe Biden. He's like, Joe Biden beat me. I got to beat him back. And now that he can't beat Joe Biden, and it's like, it feels unfair to them what Democrats are doing right now, because they've been so used to fighting this inept Democratic Party that now that Democrats are just being competent, they're crying about how it's unfair. Like they're being like, oh, I can't believe he mentioned the couch. How dare they? It's like, come the fuck on. No one believes this. No one is going to look at this and go, hey, this side is talking about an unsubstantiated story about JD fucking a couch. They're the bad guys, and then just ignore Trump being like, yeah, Kamala ain't black. No, you can't do this. It's so obvious. Again, disproven on its face. There's no retort necessary. You just ignore an attack. You call it an attack. That's it. It's over for them. That's their only playbook.
I saw like Republicans complaining about the couch thing. Now, I admit, I will openly admit, I did not find the couch thing funny. I still don't really. It's like a weird thing, honestly. It's like, oh, did you hear JD Vance put a glove between two couch cushions and started fucking it? I don't know. Okay, that's odd. I don't know. So on the surface, I don't find it funny. But seeing how it's caught on and seeing how it clearly bugs the Republicans, that is funny. That for something like that I do find pretty hilarious. But I saw like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro say something like, well, it really tells you something about the Democrats that they're resorting to these childish insults and these clear and obvious lies that they're not to be taken seriously. I said, okay, what the fuck are we doing? Not only like obviously Donald Trump, who just traffics in insults, like he insulting people is a damn near a language to him. That's all he does. But Republicans have spent, I don't know what, the last 5-7 years saying that we're fucking pedophiles. Like I constantly saying that we're groomers, saying we're dangers to children, saying that we hate the country. I mean, that's all they say. It doesn't matter. Saying that we support executing babies after they're born, just stuff that is complete nonsense, no basis in reality, and they get away with it. Like there's nothing that they have to substantiate any of this. And the second the Democrats start saying so, like, oh, isn't it funny to think JD Vance fucks the couch? Oh my God, how could you possibly say that about us? It's just, I don't know. These guys are soft as shit. This is why it's weird that people sign like the tough John Wayne stuff Republicans. No, they're fucking babies, man. They're cowards and soft as hell. You should bully them. Do it. I encourage it.
It's why weird works. And it's why. So here's the thing, TJ. When I just talk about like normie liberal friends, when I'm hanging out with my normie conservative friends and politics comes up, I don't agree with them on much. But one thing that I will agree with them on is like, they'll often say you have to be able to admit when something's funny, even if a joke is offensive, even if it's offensive to you. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that. Like the couch thing, it's funny. And you disagree that it's funny. I think it's pretty darn funny. It jumped as soon as Tim Walz said it. They need to never say it again. Like if they try and continue to joke about it, it's going to go into very unfunny, very, very fast. But make one joke about it and just let it live the rest of its internet life. It'll be gone in like in a month, But like, if you can't admit that's funny, because a normal person, if you respond, be like, "Yeah, guys, there's a story about how I can't fuck the couch." Say something funny about it, address it, it goes away, But they can't do that. In fact, he hasn't even confirmed or denied he's fucked a couch. It's actually getting really weird. Like the longer this goes on without them being able to address it properly, the longer I think he fucked a couch. Like I do think that he may have. I didn't think at all that he fucked a couch when this started, and now it's like 15% he fucked the couch. It's really bad. They're either really bad at this or he fucked a couch, and they're probably really bad at this, knowing them, but he might have fucked the couch.
I agree so much on the admitting when something is funny, even if you don't like it, because Democrats are pretty bad at this.
Yeah.
I've been saying for the better part of a decade now that Donald Trump is funny. I say it all the time, that Donald Trump actually, not just unintentionally funny, he has genuinely good comedic timing. The guy and I did a whole series on TikTok a while ago talking about the Pocahontas thing. I'm pretty sure I talked about it on the show here. And liberals were always saying, "Oh, that's racist." And no, it's not. It wasn't racist at all. What's racist is claiming to be Native American when you're not. That's a lot worse than anything Trump did. And I would hear so many people saying, "I don't think Donald Trump's ever said anything funny." Say, get the fuck out of here. There's no way you actually think that. Or then again, it might be true. Maybe you're repulsed by him so much that you can't take anything as funny. All right, fine. I can separate the comedy from the man. I can do that very easily. In fact, you pretty much have to if you follow comedy at all. But I was doing Destructo Jugo and I did a review. Oh, did you finish The Boys, by the way?
Yes, I did.
Okay, we did a review of The Boys season 4, and we were talking about how bizarre it was that they kept using Huey getting sexually assaulted as a joke. Like it was like Huey. I was like, that was really fucking weird. And they asked Eric Kripke about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I thought it was funny. I don't know why people responded so negatively to it." And Dr. Jugo was like, "Man, you know the audience you've built here, right? Like this isn't an audience that's gonna go for that and think it's funny." And we were talking about how it might just be because he's old. He's probably in his 50s or something like that. And back in the day, how many times you heard prison rape jokes? Don't drop the soap. You might get raped. Isn't that funny? But we did a whole thing talking about how you can make really offensive topics into funny jokes and not be problematic about it. And the example was from the same episode. I don't know if you remember when A-Train was talking to Tech Knight. And Tech Knight was telling him how he comes from a family of slave catchers.
Oh, that was so funny. That was so funny.
Hilarious, right? And so that was an incredibly racist, insensitive thing to say. Funny as hell. So it's like we're not prudes on this shit. You can talk about dark topics or inappropriate topics, and if you handle it well, it can be funny. And it's good to know that when you're a politician, because as a politician, you're already some sort of weird, homunculus, like not quite human person. The more human you can appear, the more people are gonna like you. That's our advice for you guys. Like Harris and Walz are doing a great job with it, and they don't. And what I was saying, what I was telling Mark a while back, is that if I thought he was saying that she shouldn't tack left on policy. Honestly, if I was Harris, I wouldn't say a thing. I wouldn't be talking about anything. I'd be saying, Trump did this, it's bad, we're going to stop this from happening. You don't need to take any risks. And not in the position she's in now. She's got as good a coalition as you could possibly get. Like, she's not going to make that net wider amongst the Democratic voting base. So just work on being a normal person and making fun of Donald Trump. It'll work.
Yeah, no, and guys, you can tell that me and TJ didn't have a second show last week because we're 3 minutes over, and I just want to talk for the next 3 hours.
I know, right? It's all built up.
But I do have to get going here, TJ. So real quick, let's pick our topics.
All right. And so one thing I wanted to talk about that I don't know if you saw this, but Elon Musk is suing his people who aren't advertising with Twitter.
Yes, I'll take that all day.
I know, right? I thought that would be pretty fun, yeah. And I wanted to do one on what I have here. Trump. Oh, so this is I don't know if this will be a whole topic or not. This might just be like a side thing. But I was thinking about Trump and the fact that he's running as a convicted felon, and that we have a lot of states that don't let felons vote, and how we could actually transition this argument into expanding the votes to felons in places where it didn't belong. I don't know. I think it's a good argument to put forward, like that the Republicans can't really argue against that because they're the ones who would stand in the way. But I don't know. Either that or
just an episode like felons voting. Should felons vote? That's fair. I'm cool with that.
I like that. Yeah.
I wanted to talk. I think we should do a Tim Walz episode.
Of course, absolutely. I can say yeah.
And then I did want to talk about the Google monopoly verdict. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. Oh, I heard about it. Laura Ingraham talked about it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I want to do that. That Google's been declared a monopoly by federal. This has been a pet issue of mine since I was in high school, and I'm so glad to see it happening. But cool. That'll be our topics. EK is going to be our guest. EK Powell, friend of the show. So yeah. I've got to get going. I got a real hard out here. But, all right. Cool. Everyone will see you next week or tomorrow. Damn. I'm getting rushed off the stage here. I will see you tomorrow. Talk to you later, guys.
Later, folks.